Chinchero is the most picturesque town in the Sacred Valley in Peru. The town of Chinchero is the capital of the district of the same name, which belongs to the province of Urubamba. It is one of the most representative towns of Cusco in general, known for its archaeology and its crafts. Chinchero is recognized as the Rainbow Town because in the rainy season, especially in January, February, or March, it is possible to observe this natural phenomenon very easily in this town. It is located 28 kilometers from the city of Cusco, at 3,780 meters above sea level. The town is flanked by large snow-capped mountains such as Sacante, Veronica, and Sori, and the Huepo and Puray lagoons. The people that live in the district are mainly indigenous citizens of Quechua descent. Quechua is the language which the majority of the population learned to speak in childhood. Some of the residents started speaking using the Spanish language. In Chinchero, the Incas built an impressive network of Inca platforms and roads that surrounded the Tupac Yupanqui Palace. Research at the archaeological site indicates that the place was populated before the Incas by the Quilca culture, which took full advantage of the fertile lands of the place. The archaeological site covers an area of up to 43 hectares where you can see platforms, terraces, stone enclosures, Inca roads, stone banks, water channels, and temples. Chinchero is characterized by the living culture that it still maintains despite the strong incursion of the modern world on traditions. On Sundays, a fair is held in the main square of Chinchero, where you will see the trade of local products, handicrafts, and especially textiles. There it is still possible to obtain products through the trick, just as the Incas did. Chinchero textiles are made in the ancestral style. That is, the weaving and dyeing are done using natural products, without modern artifacts.
Bienvenidos a Chinchero y también a este centro textil. Mi nombre es Julie, ahora voy a hacer una demostración desde el trasquilado de lana hasta la obtención de una manta, todo natural y hecho a mano. Good morning, welcome to Chinchero and this exposition center. My name is Julie, now I am going to explain you about the natural weaving process. Aquí tengo la lana de la oveja. Nosotras para poder lavar esta lana utilizamos una raíz. Su nombre de esta raíz es Sachta o Sach-Aparakai. For washing the dirty wool we use this natural root. The Quechua name is Sachta or Sach-Aparakai. It's a natural shampoo. Con esta raíz también nosotras nos lavamos el cabello. Evita la aparición de las canas, los cabellos blancos. ¿Ya? Also, this root is good for washing the hair because prevents the gray hair. ¿Alguien tiene canas en el grupo? Si ya tienen canas, lamento decirles que ya es tarde. Tarde la visita porque la raíz solo previene, no hace milagros. If you have gray hair, it's too late. I'm sorry. Because the root only prevents, no miracle, okay? Ahora la voy a filtrarla. Now is the filtrate. Miren la espuma que se produce. El olor que tiene es totalmente natural. No huele a shampoo, a flores o algún detergente. Y aquí lo llamamos como Inca shampoo. Look, the font is natural, no smell, no like a flower, lemon, or no detergent. And we call it Inca shampoo. Ahora voy a lavar esta lana que está sucia y a la vez grasosa. Porque aquí la oveja la llamo la vicuña. Desde el momento que han nacido nunca se han bañado. Son abejas y alpacas cochinas. Look at this, this is the dirty wool because the llama, alpaca and sheep never take a shower. It's very dirty, okay? Miren la diferencia que obtenemos solo a la primera lavada, el antes y el después. This is the difference before and after. Luego nosotras lo hacemos secar y pasamos a elaborar el hilado. En ese instrumento su nombre es la pushka o la rueca. Ese proceso nosotras la podemos elaborar caminando, bailando, cargando a los bebés, no hay problema. Porque el hilado empezamos a elaborar desde los 7 años. También vamos calculando el grosor del hilo, ya sea para las chompas, chalinas, frazadas o mantas, gruesas o delgadas. Si se rompe o si se termina, para la unión no hay problema, la unión es perfecta, no queda un nudo. Then we pass in this spinning the wool, the Quechua name is pushka. We can spin in when dancing, walking, carrying of the babies is no problem. Because the spinning we learning from 7 years old. And also is a calculated thread for blankets, sweater, scarf. Is different thread for different products, different thickness. Luego de culminar el hilado, empezamos a elaborar en madejones de esta manera. Ya de 2 hebras listas para elaborar el teñido de todos los colores. Then we get the white yarn, that's the thread, for ready different dye. Por ejemplo, para obtener el color verde, nosotras utilizamos las hojas del eucalipto y las hojas de chilca. For different green color, we use the eucalyptus leaves and chilca leaves. Para obtener el color azul, utilizamos la flor del tarwi. For different blue color, we use the lupin's flower. Para obtener el color marrón o anaranjado, utilizamos este musgo, su nombre en quechua es cacasunja. Lo traemos de Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, están colgadas en las rocas. For brown and orange, we use this moss, the quechua name is cacasunja. We get from Machu Picchu or Ollantaytambo from rocky areas. Para obtener el color plomo utilizamos la tara. Con las semillas la molemos y obtenemos el color plomo. Y también son muy buenas para la garganta, para hacer gárgaras. No se debe tomar. This is a medicinal plant. The Quechua name is tara. That means we ground in the mortar for grita. Now I am going to sacrifice for your visit, okay? ¿Están listos para las fotos? Are you ready for take a picture? El primer color que obtenemos con la cochinilla. This is the first color of the cochinilla. Red. Ahora para cambiar voy a agregar jugo de limón. Con la cochinilla nosotras podemos obtener 25 tonalidades de color rojo, utilizando diferentes minerales para degradar el color. Wow. For the cochineal we can get 25 different reds. We use different minerals for change the color. Y ahora para la tercera tonalidad voy a utilizar la piedra alumbre. For the red we use the alum stone, it's a mineral. Miren, tres diferentes rojos, tres different red. ¿Ya? La cochinilla, para fijar los colores, para que no destiñen al momento de lavar, nosotras utilizamos minerales y la sal de maras Moray para fijar y cambiar el color. For fix and change the color, we use different minerals. This is a salt from maras Moray, alum stone, lime juice, and volcanic stone. The Quechua name is corpa. For fix and change the color. Por ejemplo, aquí ya hemos hecho hervir. Esto lo hacemos hervir 1 hora porque las hojas la utilizamos enteras y frescas. After boiling the eucalyptus 1 hour because the leaves is fresh. The cochineal just 30 minutes because the cochineal we use powder. Los colores son para siempre, ya no destiñen. After the wool to wash, then dry all the color. The color is permanent, is forever. ¿Ya? Luego pasamos a elaborar este proceso, es la combinación de los colores. Su nombre en quechua es auto. Lo elaboramos de 2 personas en forma de X, con la finalidad de que el trabajo salga reversible, ambos lados lleve el mismo diseño. Aquí vamos elaborando un centro de mesa. Nosotras para elaborar estos diseños no necesitamos copiar de un libro, tampoco tenemos una computadora del cual guiarnos. Solo lo elaboramos de la memoria, porque aprendemos de generación en generación, de madre a hija. For make this design, we don't need a book, the paper is human bone. El huesito es de un turista visitante como ustedes, que no nos quisieron comprar. This one is from the tourist one, okay? From the tourist one who didn't buy anything. Una broma, amigos, no se asusten, only joke. El hueso es de la llama o del alpaca. Name is rookie. We use for tie the table runner or blanket because in Chinchero when raining, not use the plastic ponchos. We use this typical blanket.
Ay, 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 kore cadena, watu chayo. Ay, 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 kore cadena, watu chayo. Chayur pitu, chawiwa kusqaisi. Chayur pitu, chawiwa kusqaisi. Ay, 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 ripuy pasaywa mati uwasha. Ay, 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 ripuy pasaywa mati uwasha. Hina ripuchu, hina pasachu, hina.
The Sacred Valley of the Incas is a valley of the Urubamba River. The valley starts 15 kilometers north of Cusco and stretches about 100 kilometers between two then important Incan cities, the Cusco City and Machu Picchu. The place had a special meaning to the Incas as the sacred river of Urubamba represented a reflection of the cosmic Milky Way in their mythology. The valley was highly appreciated by the Incas also because of its geographical and weather qualities. It was one of the main production places because of fertility of its soil. The valley is a place where the best Peruvian corn is cultivated. The sacred valley possesses an idyllic atmosphere, inviting everybody to visit it and stay there. There can be found several excellent Incan archaeological complexes such as Pisac, Ollantaytambo, Chinchero, Moray, as well as nearby pre-Incan salt mines of Saline Ras. Moray is an archaeological site 50 kilometers northwest of Cuzco and just a short distance west of the village of Maras. This is a very extraordinary Inca site consisting of many huge terraces formed by circular depressions. The largest of them is around 30 meters deep. The purpose of these depressions was to create different temperatures that enabled to the Incas to study effects of different climatic conditions on crops and after that, its cultivation. For that reason, Moray is considered to be an Inca's agricultural experimental site, as well as a prototype of the first greenhouse. Moray has got a complicated irrigation system too. Saline Ras de Maras are salt mines that have been used since pre-Inca times. Salt comes from a subterranean salty mineral stream that springs on a hill above the salt mines. The flow of the stream runs into a complicated system of tiny canals that irrigate a huge number of small salty pools. There are about 3,000 salty pools. A part of that, the salt mines offer overwhelming view when seeing from above access road. alive Incan town. The town has been continuously populated for over 700 years. Its streets are paved with cobblestones, and you can see many authentic water channels all across the town. The biggest highlight of the town is its Incan complex that served once as a temple as well as a fortress. The complex is surrounded by precipitous terraces that had also a protecting purpose. On the top of the complex, a ceremonial area can be found, which represents an amazing example of Inca's architecture. The ceremonial area involves 3 really huge stones that perfectly fit to each other. The complex witnessed one of the most important battles when Spanish conquistadors were defeated by the Incan ruler Manco Inca. Pisac is located 33 kilometers northwest of Cusco. There can be found two attractions: the Incan Citadel and the colonial town with its traditional handicraft market. The authentic Incan city is seated on a precipitous mountain above the current Pisac town. This impressive citadel extends to 4 kilometers. The citadel involves ceremonial, spiritual center with Intihuatana, sun clock, temples showing perfect stone masonry, several water canals, ceremonial baths, military zone, residential zone, as well as loads of Incas tombs placed in holes on a cliff. The entire citadel is surrounded by agricultural terraces placed on steep slopes.